we go. 7-day login for some good freebies. Heck yeah. That's what's up. Stamina potion. Ooh, nice. And then, of course, my monthly card. Bundles! Bundles, bundles, bundles! Yes, of course they want you to buy bundles. Ooh, new event with Terry. Luna Pledge. I guess we'll just go through and click all my daily buttons. I guess we'll turn on the in-game music too. Alright, let's take a look. Let's take a look-see what we got here going on. Run through my dailies. Ooh, double crystal task. How auspicious. Collect your coins, check your stamina, collect all your expeditions that hopefully you queued up from before maintenance. Hopefully. Take a look at all the events. Alright, number 1, make sure you play the new event. After the blood moon fades, this will lead into next version in 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, check it out. This is live now. Rita swimsuit summer outfit. When you complete this, you can buy it. Make sure you do whatever the dailies are. There's 400 crystals here. An energy reroll device for endgame players. Legacies. Some of y'all are craving this resource in order to unlock your Sirin magical girl. So maybe some of y'all don't have quite enough. As you can see here, I'm short by, you know, a couple, like 100 or so. Short by 90-ish, 85-ish. And then I know a lot of y'all crave Honkai shards to upgrade your weapons. Booster tickets! This is for those of us lazy players that don't want to sit through and do our adventure, open world adventure tasks. Starry Wishes! This is our top-up event. We usually get one of these like every other patch before a major spending event. So who is this for? This is for medium spenders and big spenders. So the 3,280 crystals or B chips is roughly 50 USD. Plus or minus based on taxes and or regional, where your region is. And then the 6,480 is around $100 USD. So what does this give us? Rank up option stamps. So for me, since I'm getting my Mobius to double S from Battle Pass, if I were to acquire these, I would probably put them towards Silverwing. Probably let me get Silverwing to S2. S2. Now, don't forget to play your tutorial for Sirin. There's some good free crystals here, as well as some Homu Proofs of Legend, so that you can use in the future time capsules to get old collectibles. Likewise, the Priarm also has some bonuses for those that are picking up the weapon and upgrading it. So the tutorial for this should be baked into the tutorial here. Now, if you haven't already, we looked at this before, the version overview. If you click share, there's like 20 crystals. This goes away in 4 days at the reset. So make sure you get this going. Make sure you do this before it goes away. It's easy 20 crystals. Okay, well that's pretty much the new events for now. I guess chapter 40 is not out yet. I guess your referral code for returnee friends, or maybe if you're maintaining an alt account, you know, this is still ongoing. And then of course make sure you do your weekly share. If you copy it to clipboard, you know, you get a nice 3, or not 3, but you get a nice free 30 crystals here if you haven't done so already. Maintenance crystals, don't forget those too. 600 for your stash. Take a look at the bundles. Bundles. I guess they got some nice expansion cards. So the expansion supply cards are more so for players prepping for next patch. Not so much for this patch, although for those players that are looking to spend and get your Sirin ranked up early, there do appear some bundles for that. You know, stay within budget. These are okay for those that already have planned to spend to try to rush her to double S. I think chat, you guys were saying it's roughly 90 USD if you buy out all the bundles to get her to double S. Hey, material bundles. Some of y'all are just short a little bit. You know, I probably wouldn't spend this. This is like $5 for 50 ancient legacies. Legacies are farmable. All this is farmable. But for those that, you know, you value time over money and you have a lot of money and not enough time, you know, this might be justified in your case. But I know for the majority of free-to-play players, the reason y'all are free-to-play or low budget is because you have a lot of time and not a lot of money. So all things, you know, reevaluate it for yourself. Your weekly bundle and your monthly bundles, these are still your high-value bundles that, you know, whether you're pulling for gear this patch or you're saving for next patch, just some stuff to keep in mind. And as you can see here, this is less, right? It's the same cost as our events or your recommended. It's the same cost as your recommended, but you're getting less. So if you are looking at trying to brute force Ancient Legacies, make sure you pick this one up first before you pick this one up. And that's, again, in a whale scenario where you are topping up to brute force certain things. Okay, top-ups. Monthly. And then if you have your first-time top-ups available, this is probably where I would start before hitting the bundles. But as we looked at before here, you know, these bundles are a good way to get your Sirin up to double S. Now, as we go into the banner reviews, first we're going to look into the shop, right? Make sure you buy anything that has coins, because those are usually, you can convert that into asterite. So anything where you can convert coins into asterite or witch orbs, it's generally good value. New stuff added in exchange shop, but it's all old meta stuff, so mostly for collectors. New players, this doesn't, you shouldn't be really looking at this exchange shop, because you probably don't have the resonators to use it. And if you do have resonators, you're probably going to be using those resonators for crafting your G4 mats or your G4 stigmata. So don't do exchange shop yet. Dorm shop refresh. You know, if you're like me and you've been sitting on all your work points cards from doing your dorm expeditions, dorm adventure tasks, you know, grab your crystallum for the version. This is for battle pass. Grab your dorm tickets to prep for next patch's spending events. Grab your Taurus so that you can upgrade your Priarms. Yes, and then anything left over, you probably want to stock up on asterite for all your other material needs. Witch's Corridor, anything new this patch in particular? No, most of the good changes for Witch's Corridor is coming next patch, so sit on your Golden Witch Orbs, I guess. Supply shop, still the same this patch as previous patch. This will roll over into a new shop rotation next version, so keep an eye out on all the 7.0 beta news. Elysian shop, probably no change, but if you have not been stocking up on your spatial convectrons, if you're FTP, low budget, medium login amount, 600 to 900 day player, you probably still need to buy your red lenses for your G4 crafting. So keep that in mind. War Treasury! This is where the majority of players will unlock your Sirin, alright? You only pull for Sirin in the special event supply if you are not paying attention and you have the spending power to brute force that banner and you're just trying to get her to triple S. But chances are, if you're trying to get her to triple S, you should unlock here first, buy the bundles to get to double S, and then do your pulls to get to triple S. probably buy out all this stuff from the shop, from this shop too. So you know, a lot of medium high dolphins, low budget whales. Chances are that tier of spending player will use the bundles after unlocking with this shop to get to double S so that they can start their weekly farm to get to triple S. So good for me, I finally got my Susang to triple S this week. But for those that haven't already, it looks like they reset your weekly cap on Jade Knight as well. So Jade Knight, previously it was 4 and 2, and now you can buy 8 weekly. So that's good, and it looks like they reset the count too. So if you were behind on Jade Knight and you needed just a little bit more to get to triple S, this is an option. And there will be more changes to Legacy shop stuff in 7.0, so keep an eye out on the 7.0 news. Shadow Knight, Celestial Hymn, and HOV will no longer cost Legacies. They will be converted to willpower purchasing, so good for old school collectors. Co-op shop. Yeah, make sure you buy the stuff with Jade so that you can, you know, buy your shards for upgrading weapons. This will be a little bit more efficient than outright buying shards with Asterite. Mirage Store! Buy your Time Swirl passes. The majority of you players will need to be spending these in the Mirage to farm that sweet, sweet G4 fire material. Alright? And then also, if you've been stockpiling your ether fuel, you'll want to buy your 60 fragments on day 1. Now, maybe before you commit to buying, you want to gacha first, right? Gacha for your weapon first, and see if you get some off rates. Because if you get off rates, you know, maybe you get really lucky on your way to the weapon and you get full 3 set and you don't need to rush to craft. So I would wait until after you do your gacha for the version. Now, if you're skipping the weapon and you still want to craft Fire G4, then yeah, I can understand this. So we'll revisit this. Armada Terminal. I'm just kind of stockpiling my Ranger credits, but for a majority of you, if you need your Honkai shards for your weapons, this is a great place to pick them up. Also, your monthly dorm cards to stockpile for next patch or the spending event. Master Shop for those that are maintaining cadets. And then fragments. So nothing new here in Asterite Shop, right? Keep working on your SP battle suits if you still need to get them up and online. Augment course is kind of an outdated feature, sadly. Even though some of y'all might be trying to collect cosmetics. So, you know, if you're all about them cosmetics and you want to unlock those fancy outfits, understandable. Nothing new in Coin Shop. I gotta buy some stuff to continue renovating my dorm. And then Event Shop. Oh, this is the Dawei Villa, so don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, you can't even get the Dawei. You can't even get this yet, right? This doesn't... They don't allow... I guess probably tomorrow. For those that didn't finish the event and you feel compelled to brute force whatever you're missing from the shop, I don't recommend anybody do this, converting crystals for shop currency for an outdated event. But, you know, if you were really busy and you still want some of these limited items, I would not convert this for the rest of the materials. Well, maybe the legacies. Maybe for the legacies it's close. But maybe if you finished the event and you were just short of whatever the material was for the outfit, okay, maybe. It's a hard maybe. This event, so the shop will stay open if you forgot to spend your stuff. Same thing, shop here will stay open if you forgot to get your stuff. The Moon Rocks is kind of expensive for crystals, so this is kind of... Try to avoid spending crystals here if you can. And then Old Town Shop, same thing, right? Try not to spend crystals here. Because all the rest of these, it's farmable. It's farmable! Hello, thank you for the follow. Now, Moonwish Library. This is the new event. So play the new event. Get the stuff from the shop. 400 crystals. Some nice stuff here. Legacies for those that don't have, you know, hidden option boxes left in your inventory. Energy devices for endgame players looking to buff up their supports. Make their supports a bit more efficient. So that pretty much wraps up, like, the event and shop overview. And then we'll take a look at the banners here. Supply! Okay, I like that they put event supply in front of expansion supply. Is there any info showing what is a better way to use stamina for augments and or materials to exchange them to asterite and then buy augments? If you're looking to farm asterite, what some people in the chat in the past have said is, like, maybe you farm Fulminata Core, because this one only costs, like, well, maybe not this one. I think you want to look for the low-cost, like, 18 stamina. A lot of these are going to be, like, 20 stamina. I think the alloy weapons also convert to asterite. I know some people were farming skill mats. Was it the skill mats? Not shop. If you do your... Oh, hold on. You have to go to attack. Go to attack. Go to material expedition. If you do drift world, you get a bunch of advanced skill mats. Tragic. Seeing all those go away. If you get a lot of advanced skill mats, you can convert your advanced skill mats. Especially if you have a lot of energy left over. And this will get you your asterite that you're looking for. Event expansion focus dorm. Elfin dorm. Not always, Hasper. Sometimes they put event, like if it's an SP release, they'll put event or the special supply after focus. So it's not always the event supply on top. It really depends on the version. But I can see why they would put this one up top, because they want to promote the weapon over this. So, okay, banner review. Okay, banner review. So, in version 6.9, Sirin's main gacha equipment is gonna be the weapon, which is why only the weapon is guaranteed. The rest of the Magical Girl fire set is craftable in Foundry. And your target is the weapon. But if you can get a couple of these from on the way, it'll save you some farming time. Now, if you're FTP low budget, you just gotta be patient, alright? You just gotta be patient if you don't get any of these pieces. Your goal as FTP and low budget is secure the weapon, if you're rolling this patch. I understand there's quite a few of you that are like, I seen the stuff for 7.0 and I'm gonna hard save. That's fine. That's fine. Just stick to your plan and, you know, commit to your plan. Stay on budget, stay on target. Let's take a look at the off rates. So, of course, you want Dream Cutter. Lost Conviction is like an okay, you can kind of use it. Like, here's my thing with Sirin is like, yeah, even if you're not pulling her signature weapon, hopefully you have at least one other Gacha Priarm, at least one other Gacha Chakram that you can use as a placeholder. Yes, you'll take a DPS loss, but, you know, if you're a fresh account, it's better than nothing. And the rest of her gear is farmable, so you can still, you know, continue to build Sirin slowly on the side, still build her stuff for fire teams on the side, and, like, eventually you'll have her set up to go for those fire weather content. Paradise, still pretty good as a catch-all support pistol for pistol users. So, like, this is what we would use as a fallback, backup weapon for Kira if you don't have Kira's signature weapons. Quite a bit of utility strats with Flame Scion as well for both sim battle and, you know, old double S fights. Key of Castigation! This is so old meta, it belongs in a museum. You you know, maybe if you have one, you can keep one copy. I would not keep more than one copy at this point, unless you're just like me, you just sit on the weapons until it's time to convert them to resonators. Falcon Flare, you can kind of use this as a modern placeholder weapon in a lot of heavy weapon cannon users for Bronya battle suits, but you know, getting one of these isn't going to be high priority either, so probably, you know, keep one and then don't touch it unless you have Silverwing. There was a time where if you had Falcon Flare leveled up all the way, you could have used it on Haxor Bunny. But we don't really use Haxor Bunny nowadays, so if you only are using it for Haxor Bunny, I would not level it past 35. Nocturnal Stealth. So Nocturnal Stealth is still quite useful. It was on banner last week up until maintenance yesterday for Jade Knight. So if you off-rate Nocturnal Stealth, it's good to have at least one copy of. Probably this as well as Echo of Paradise are your two like ideal off-rates if you're a new account and you don't have those already. And then Mitternacht for Genshin enjoyers if you like Fischl. Mitternacht is okay. I would say probably decent as a progression account weapon for bow users, especially for Fischl, but like chances are you might be hard pressed for resources to afford time to invest into Fischl right now. Fischl is about 1.5 years old now, almost 2 years, because her event was back in 2020. Yeah, 2 years old at this point. So it's okay to get one copy. I probably wouldn't keep more than one copy. Any extras, don't salvage for shards. Make sure you convert for resonators when you need to. I personally, for safety reasons, I just leave all the weapons untouched until I absolutely have a use for them. Now, if you are completely unlucky and you're sitting on like 50 off-rated weapons and like, you know, over half of them are duplicates, okay, maybe then you can salvage for cubes. Just remember, whatever you have a lot of, just balance it around that. You know, what do you need versus what you have on hand. All right, Stigmata. Let's take a look at the Stigmata off rates. Teddy, Braboli, Bolola, and Valeri. Yeah, Hasper. Me with 20 weapon dupes. My luck is bad. Yeah, if your luck is bad, then, you know, at least you can start converting stuff for resonators to start building your museum and get all those old school year 1 weapons out of the exchange shop. So, Little Joy set is your target uprate Stigmata. The rest of this set is craftable, so, you know, if you're patient, you're F2P, you're low budget, as long as you're patient enough, you can finish out the set from Foundry. From them G formats. But like I said previously, only buy the Crystallite after you do your gacha so that you can basically, you know, you can kind of see, like, if you get one or two of these pieces, maybe you can save some time or fuel or whatever. Or like the ideal scenario is maybe you get lucky and you do 30 pulls to get the weapon, but along the way you get 2 or 3 pieces of the gear. That would be nice. Turgenev, still quite useful as a placeholder in a lot of elemental teams. Still used in a lot of heavy snapshot strats for double S fights. You know, if you're big whale and you have double S and up trio, sometimes you'll use Turgenev on Hersher of Origin to juice more of that damage. So Turgenev is good to get. Linnaeus was previously on it's still on Battle Pass. So Linnaeus is still on Battle Pass. You know, if you get 1 or 2 of these pieces, just hang on to one copy. Not the end of the world, right? Just hang on to one copy. You can use it as a placeholder DPS set for Lightning if you don't have Handle crafted. Just remember to read the description because Linnaeus has a couple of conditionals on a couple of the pieces. Like, one of the pieces is for range damage, and then another one of the pieces is like you have to have summoned entity on field. Or it's bonus damage for summoned entity. So like if you're playing it on a summoned entity character or non-summoned entity character, you just won't get that bonus effect. Same thing with the 2-piece, because I remember we were messing around with the 2-piece. It's like if there's a summoned entity on field, then you get bonus SP regen. So stuff to play around with. Carlo Collodi for Vilv. So like if I get some Carlo Collodi off rates, that'll be good for me. Because you know, we picked up Vilv recently-ish in the last 2 versions, but I have 0 gear for her. So for me, you know, I'm gonna sit on one set of Carlo Collodi if we get any pieces there. And then Elysia Pristine for H2O. Yeah, if you have Hersher of Human Ego, getting Elysia gear would be nice. She does work well with Ice G4, but chances are if you're playing this patch, you're not going to be trying to be farming Ice G4. You're going to be farming Fire G4. So, most of the Stigmata off rates aren't that impressive, but getting Turgenev as a new account, or getting any of these pieces as a new account, as like a brand new, under 300 day login account, just to build inventory and have placeholder options for different teams, it's okay, right? You have one for lightning, fire, and ice. You have Turgenev, which is great for all elemental and for ice. So for a new account, this is an pretty okay banner to roll on. I know for most F2P, you know, you're trying to decide, do you want to commit on this banner, or if you want to save on next patch, save for next patch. All justifiable, just depends on what you want to do, what you need, what you feel like you want to save for, etc., etc. Expansion supply! So, who is this supply for? This is for brand new players who don't have the resources to just outright buy the card. Now, if you're patient enough, or if you buy Legacies, you should still be able to unlock the card for cheaper than it would potentially cost. Now, if you're not risk averse and you feel like you're gonna get lucky, you could try to snipe in, like, I don't know, 10 to 40 pulls. That's very risky. So, you know, for me, that risk assessment is a no-go. But yeah, this supply is for people who can afford to brute force the banner. But for a lot of players that would be in that position, chances are they've been playing long enough where they would unlock the card in the shop, like we've discussed in the earlier shop overview. You would unlock from that shop, from War Treasury. Then you would buy the bundles to rank up to double S. Then you would buy your fragments from War Treasury. Then you would come back here to try to roll for additional cards to rank up from double S to triple S. Or, yeah, Kronos, or Mega Whale that spends 5k USD per patch. Yeah. Whoa. Maybe 2k per patch. But even for whales, you would only really come back to this banner after you've cleaned out the shop. All right. So, you know, a lot of the high spender, the monthly high spenders, you kind of would already know. Buy all the stuff from the shops first, all the really cost efficient items first before coming back here to roll for triple S. And a lot of medium-high, low whale, medium-high spenders, high dolphins, low whales, a lot of what they will probably end up doing is just playing the efficient game, where they will just slow farm from double S, or maybe they'll rush to double S1, like maybe they'll get 2 cards here and then slow farm from double S1 to triple S over time, and save the bulk of their real money for 7.0, for the spending of it. Depends on, what you can afford and how competitive you are. Alright, let's take a look at Focus A and Focus B. Focus A for Ichan. They're probably putting this gear up because Ichan will be one of the main supports for Sirin. She does Ignite Trauma, she does Fire buffs, and let's take a look here. Pretty sure there was like a set bonus that also gave all elemental, but I can't remember. But this will be really nice for Sirin because bonus ignite damage will scale insanely well. So, if you can afford to brute force this banner, it'll be pretty good if you're really focusing on building around Sirin. So there is no alt elemental on this set. Huh. It was just funny that this one didn't have an all elemental on it because Ozlog had all elemental, Turgenev had all elemental, and both of those you could use, especially in the early game, to in all elemental teams. Rudder and Dream, I know some in the chat are going to be using this as a placeholder for Sirin, which is like, yeah, it's okay if this is all you already have. Some other high-level players have already done a bunch of tests. I'm sure you can find a damage comparison chart with like Sirin signature versus all the other chakrams. You know, if you're using this on Sirin, chances are it's like kind of like a last resort situation. Let's take a look at the off rates. We got ads starting, so for those that are here live, let me snooze the ads here. I'm gonna speed run through a bunch of this because a lot of it looks like old meta just at a glance. Keys of the Void, old meta. Crusher Bunny, useful on new accounts, but kind of old meta. Basilisk's Image on Battle Pass. Elysian Astra, great for bleed and physical teams, but especially bleed teams. Griseo herself, in general physical teams, is kind of slowly getting pushed out, but she's still great in progression accounts. So picking up Astra and on bleed fights. So with Susanna and, you know, Tarikula next patch, having Astra on hand will be good. Keys of Oblivion, old meta. Senti is getting new gear for DPS next patch. So the one nice thing about Keys of Oblivion is that you can use it as placeholder for Prometheus and Carol. So that flexibility is there, as well as some old school Fuhua physical battle suits like Night Squire. So if you're a Fuhua enthusiast, Keys of Oblivion is not bad to pick up. Midnight Eclipse for Equinox, but also as a generalist physical lance. You know, some of us are coping that one day they'll make playable Tesla as an Echo Fighter for Asuka. And if you're an Asuka haver, if you're an Asuka enjoyer from the Hi3 Cross Evangelion collab, Midnight Eclipse is quite good for Asuka. And then Rudder and Dream is what you're looking for if you're rolling on this banner. Stigmata, Aichan Blade Supreme is what you're looking for. Cezanne, pretty good. Zenyi, 2 years old, but still decent for Lightning, especially on a progression account, especially if you're low inventory. So Zenyi's still strong. It's like a G3.5. Bastet, also a good support set for freeze teams, for ice teams. It's mainly for Pardo. A lot of times you want the top and mid piece as a 2-set, and then you would run Cezanne B in the B slot. But, you know, 3-set Bastet is really comfy for players that are prioritizing comfortable rotations over high damage efficiency. So Bastet, it's a year old, but it's still like it's good to pick up if you don't already have a set. If you've been playing since the start of this year, though, Bastet has showed up in so many off rates. I completely off rated like 2 whole sets in the early versions this year. So maybe you don't need as many Bastets because you've already picked up like 3 sets over the course of the last year and a half. And then Li Shusang's signature set. So this was also on banner last week, but now showing up as off rates here. If you don't have this set for your ice team for your Jade Knight, this is a good pickup. But, you know, remember, you're not rolling in these focus supplies for the off rates. Your goal is to get the up rate and then dip. But if you end up getting 1 or 2 pieces, top and bottom together is a good combo for the Li Shusang set. Of course, getting 3 set is really good for your ice teams. So Focus A is more like, this is kind of like for mid spenders that can afford to try to roll here to try to catch up. I think for most F2P low budget players, I would probably just ignore this banner and just keep saving and wait till, you know, you either get some of this gear from off rates or from another source, spending shop or whatever. I would probably skip this as an F2P low budget account. Like when I would manage when I was still playing my F2P account, I would just ignore this banner. Same thing, I would probably have ignored this banner on my F2P account too, but, you know, on my F2P account, I actually managed to get all the pieces of Cezanne and Astra on release. But for new players, if you're in a position where you know, you're a spending player and you're trying to catch up, both of these banners, Focus A and B, are good for catching up as a spending player. If you're a new player and you're low budget F2P, I would just probably skip them. Astra and Cezanne still useful for bleed fights. Cezanne B, very, very powerful in quite a few situations. Overall, still a good set to have on hand. Probably not as priority if you're free to play, and you know, we've just discussed the reasons why. Definitely still very good to have. If you're free to play new account, pull forward, like pull for new stuff. Try not to go back for old stuff. But for players that can afford to try to pick up the old stuff because you have budget to do so, you know, this is a good opportunity too. Elysian Astra is your uprate. Nebulous Duality, it's in the exchange shop. So Nebulous Duality is still used quite often, but it is, well, not that often. Not that often anymore, no. But it's still probably one of the better all-around weapons, because in a scuff situation, you can use Nebulous Duality on a lot of Fuhua characters. You can use it as a placeholder on Carol. Well, it's less useful on Carol and Prometheus for sure, but you can still use it there. In the past, you know, back in 6.6 and 6.7, early 6.7, we've used Cosmic, which is the Priarm form of Nebulous Duality. We've used that on Jade Knight and still cleared Nirvana content with it. So it's not entirely useless, but it is more expensive now to make use of it, and it's more niche. So, you know, again, like if you're a new account, you get one, hang on to it. Probably not upgrade it all the way. Iris of the Dreams, I think new players still get this from the option box, from the new player event stuff. Path to Acheron is kind of old meta, and it's also, you can try to pick it up from Exchange Shop if you really want it. Starlance Prime is great for Fire Lance users, so Dea Ancora, it's her signature weapon, but also useful for Valkyrie Gloria, which is, you know, you have to be a doo-doo super fan to really, really invest in Valkyrie Gloria nowadays. But maybe if you're on an account that you've run out of stuff to farm, maybe you farm Valkyrie Gloria to Triple S for Elysian Realm farming stuff. So, you know, hang on to one copy, right? That's the usual advice. If you don't already own a copy, just hang on to one copy, put a lock on it, let it collect in your collection. Key of Ego for Hersher of Human Ego. You know, if you're an Elysia enjoyer, hang on to this. Piranha Phantasma, probably the best all-round Chakram. Has team total damage. Just quite around, like, just useful. It's just useful to have one. More so for progression accounts. Most, like, long-term players who've been playing for the last 2 years or so, probably you're seeing less use out of it nowadays. But, you know, on my free-to-play, I use Piranha on Aichan. On my free-to-play, I use Piranha on Susanna with Shrejing and or Dirac, and, you know, we were able to get to 46.9k on Pisacha in Memorial Arena. Cleared Abyss just okay. Just enough to survive the cycle, you know. So Piranha's been nice. Probably one of the better off rates out of this. Probably one of the newest off rate. Well, Key of Ego's a little bit newer than Piranha, but like they kind of go together, right? This is your old meta, last year's meta team using Piranha with Key of Ego. So this would be okay. Stigmata. Cezanne is what you're looking for. Xenos for Aponia. You can use Xeno as a decent placeholder on certain combo lightning characters. We were using Xeno just yesterday to speedrun our Elysian Realm on Shadow Knight. So, not bad if you end up getting a whole set. Avogadro's craftable. Turgenev again! So Turgenev being off-rate on both of these banners is great for new players and like new dolphins and new whales that are trying to just like catch up faster. But again, you don't roll on these banners for Turgenev. Alright, but you know, in an ideal situation is like if you're able to afford to roll on Aichan gear and Griseo gear and you get a set of Turgenev along the way, congrats. Ragna for Spina. Ragna is Spina's set. This is kind of like a G 3.5-ish fire. You're probably gonna not need Ragna much once you finish your Magical Girl G4 fire set. But it is okay as a placeholder in quite a few situations for fire characters. So, you know, in conclusion, right? Like, if you're a high dolphin and you want to brute force catch up on stuff that you missed out previously, Focus A and B would be the banners for that, to shore up your, you know, old supports and whatnot. F2P low budget, I would skip both of these banners. I would, you know, don't even look at this supply for rank ups, because your rank ups are all farmable. Majority of players that are rolling should be rolling here. Just get this weapon and then just kind of be done with the patch. Now, Elf supply. Elf Kiana! She's really strong. She's just really strong. Even, I want to say even 2-star Elf Kiana is, like, really good here. I would probably say if you can afford to get her to at least 3 stars, this will be great for both your fire and lightning team. Now, this is, who's gonna be, who should this banner be for? Maybe you're a long-time F2P player or a long-time low-budget player, and you just want to add a little bit more diversity to your play. You know, you maybe feel a little bit hard stuck in Red Lotus and you want to see what it's like in Nirvana. Or maybe you're just comfy in Red Lotus and you just want to make your time comfier. You know, in that case, maybe you can justify putting the crystals down. Elf Kiana was released earlier this year, so, you know, rolling for her now, you'll still get a good amount of mileage with her. I think if you're very strict F2P, you could argue, you know, I'm never going to pull any elves. Or you wait to unlock an elf from a spending event. But unlocking an elf from spending event is going to be more expensive, because to unlock it costs 150 fragments, but to rank up from 2 to 3 star is only 100 fragments. So just a couple of, you know, different factors to keep in mind. Medium budget and up, chances are you probably already have her at 3 stars and up. But if you're a new account and you can afford to brute force, you know, 3 stars is a good sweet spot in terms of cost to performance ratio. And then dorm supply, just hold your tickets for next patch, because next patch we have a spending event. Poppy says, you don't want to know how it feels to be in Nirvana. Pyroraptor, Elf Kiana shows up next patch. Based on CN banner previews, Elf rotation next patch might be locked in for CN and SCA servers. For global, we might not be guaranteed the same banners for next patch. So just be careful if you're playing on the Americas server, on the Europe server. Like, we might not get the same elf rotation next patch. We might, and it'll be good if you're planning on saving for spending event. So that's also something that, you know, if you're okay waiting till next patch, it's a good idea to save, especially if you're F2P and low budget. If you're medium budget and up, well, chances are you already have the elf, right? But if you're a new account, medium budget and up, depends on how much you're willing to spend. Because the more that you spend now, the less you spend in a future patch. Maybe. Unless there's more stuff to... Well, I don't know. That might be in the thousands per version spender tier. Where you're like, if I spend now, I spend less next patch. But that might not be the case, because who knows? Like, maybe they'll release other stuff that you'll be like, I need to spend to get this. So just be careful with that thought. But yeah, the main things that are really nice, even at a 2-star quality of life level, is that she enables you to have a switch reset, and she also buffs lightning and fire teams a lot. Now, what are the situations where you don't need her? If you're strict free to play and you're kind of like in progression state, I probably wouldn't prioritize elves until you feel really stuck for like Agony 3 Red Lotus Abyss. But even then, like, I know that temperatures have gone up a lot, and, you know, last year's Nirvana is like this year's Red Lotus, and then last year's Red Lotus is like this year's Agony 3. So, you know, temperature rising is trickling down to the lower tiers of Nirvana, or lower tiers of Abyss as well. But if you're able to at least clear the current content that you're at, I wouldn't make elves that high of a priority until you really want to get sweaty and push for higher scores, whether that's Abyss or Memorial Arena. Switch Reset is definitely more useful in Memorial Arena than in Abyss, because Abyss, like, you know, if you have an issue with your rotation, chances are you can kind of like restart the fight and reroute your rotation accordingly. Or if it's on a side stage, you kind of just wait out the Switch Reset and then like soft reset your rotation that way without worrying about this. So I hope those, you know, different considerations help you make your decision. And then, you know, if you already have Elf Kiana unlocked, chances are whatever future spending event, whether that's, you know, spending event next patch or the upcoming spring spending event in 3 or 4 patches from now, chances are we might get elf option boxes in the spending event shop, and then you can try to rank her up that way. So those are like your budget player considerations as well. All right, that about concludes the version overview for 6.9 for both events, shops, and banners. Good luck, captains. And for those that are watching in the live audience, thank you for hanging out. Let me cut this for YouTube, and then we'll get to doing our gachas, I guess. How do you know what's coming in the firepower supply next patch? I would wait for when the news on that gets announced for CN. Marissa and Wyvern will usually post updates about it, and then after they post updates about it, we'll probably have a tagline saying like, just be careful, Global might not get the same banners, blah blah blah. Sometimes they change the pool last minute, sometimes they just don't put the golden XY sword in the pool, and then you feel salty that it's another year without the golden XY sword. Thank you, no please. Yeah, so Amaso, like, that's always the trade-off, right? Like, if you decide you need to take a break to try to get the returnee rewards and just to take a break from this game so that you can focus on your other games, I think that's a good idea as long as you've planned and accounted for all the things. Like, generally speaking, is the opportunity cost is all the crystals that you lose from not playing. But the gain and the opportunity gain is now you have more time and freedom. You know, you mentally reset on the game because maybe the game was burning you out, but you mentally reset on the game and you have time and to do other stuff. Is there a refund supply next patch? Not anything announced yet. I would like for there to be, but nothing's announced yet. I think if they do a refund supply for the Senti gear, it would make sense. I think it would be great, but I don't think they have announced anything yet. So, cautiously optimistic, but chances are high that if they haven't announced it yet, you know, we can wait. There's still like 2 weeks. Yeah, you might not be burnt out on the game, but in general. Actually, no. Who was it the other day that they were saying they wanted to do the returning event for Silverwing? Was it you? I remember somebody was talking about coming back, like taking a break to get Silverwing. Yeah, we said that at the start of the Sirin banner, Kronos. Well, we could add that. Okay. One more reminder. All right, one more reminder. Okay, at Kronos' request, we got one more reminder. Only the weapon is guaranteed from the event supply. You are not guaranteed any of the stigmata. because what they want is you either brute force the whole banner, if you can afford to, or you craft the missing pieces from the foundry. This is your final reminder, your final warning. If you're rolling on the Dusk Star Dream Rend supply, you're doing so for the weapon, and once you get the weapon, you stop pulling. Unless you're a Giga Whale and you can afford to keep pulling, because you don't like farming. Good luck. Okay. One last BP warning. Okay, one last warning for everybody watching both live and on YouTube. You have until Sunday to spend your BP Arsenal Honor chips for version 6.8. Make sure at the very least that you get your Focus Supply card and probably your Ancient Willpower and probably your Honkai Shards. At least get these three. Prior Mats is okay, but the exchange rate's not that great, and then everything else is kind of more or less farmable. Your Battle Pass overview, I think we get Holmes and Darkstar added on Monday. Everything else more or less stays the same. We get more stamps for Mobius, for long-term ranker uppers. I might pick up Mobius or not Mobius. I might pick up Darkstar for collection, but we'll see on Monday. I'll probably look at it. We'll do like a once-over short vid on Monday or something. But for the most part, like, all this stuff is kind of like published, right? You can also check the 7.0 beta VOD, because the 7.0 CN beta also has... We looked at the Battle Pass for a little bit as well. And then version 6.9 Battle Pass will be the end of this four patch cycle. So at the end of next patch, all the gear will stay for one more in the vintage shop, but all the character cards and rank up stamps will go away. So just, you know, keep all that stuff in mind. Good luck, captains.